Next guest is pushing to invest Florida state pension funds into crypto. Let's bring in Florida CFO Jimmy Patronis. And it's good to see you again. It's been a while, Mr. Patronis.
Great to be with you, Joe.
This, I guess, is in response to some, comments from former President Trump regarding a U.S. strategic crypto reserve, which, interestingly, would follow something that we've seen in Wisconsin and Michigan. And you sent a letter to the State Board of Administration, I guess, sort of pitching this idea. It's not something that I guess a lot of people think is with the fiduciary responsibilities of state pensions. They don't maybe always think of crypto or Bitcoin in that respect. Why do you?
Well, crypto's not going anywhere. It's not going to contract. It's going to continue to be expanding. And I think we'd be a fool if we're not prepared to do everything we can to harness the opportunities there. Yes, I'm a fiduciary over the state's pension funds, and I need to make sure that the legislature is armed with all the tools and resources. So I put it to our SBA investment team. Let's get all the tools on the dashboard. Let's look at everything that we can do to possibly leverage this opportunity. I'm very bullish on Florida. You can probably figure that out by now. But as we had 400,000 new net Floridians come to Florida last year alone, our state's reserves are 4 times now higher than they were in 2020. So, again, we're in a good place. I like to pay down debt. I see there's an opportunity that's very bright with Florida's future, but we need to be prepared for what crypto can bring to our investment portfolio.
Do you think China is trying to fool the rest of the world into thinking they're not interested in crypto? I mean, they've, in the past, they've said some negative things about Bitcoin. You think we need to stay ahead technologically, and that China, in fact, is making and is interested in making inroads into crypto?
No, look, if you're not paying attention to it, you're making a mistake. It is real. It's not going anywhere. I mean, again, like I said, I'm very bullish on Florida. We saw a surge of cryptocurrency interest and activity as we had 2020 in Miami. I think that at one point you're going to see Miami as the crypto capital of the world. But I'm going to continue to push forward to make sure that we're doing everything possible to take advantage of this. It's not emerging. It's here.
Jimmy, this is an interesting, just a quote. Recently, Governor DeSantis also leaned forward to protect the personal finances of Floridians from government overreach and woke corporate monitoring, and by signing legislation to fight back against the central bank digital currency, CBDC. So you're actually looking at this, the CBDC is a centralized currency, which is sort of the antithesis to what crypto or Bitcoin aims to be. So there's a sort of a tinge of some political rhetoric in that comment there. So you think that the government's going to continue to print too much money? You think Bitcoin is a way for Floridians to maintain purchasing power?
Thank you for making those points, because that's exactly where our head is on this. We look at the failed policies of Washington. I hope President Trump is going to be able to turn around, but I don't think it's going to happen overnight. He's walking into a real mess. But we need to be able to have a hedge against this massive overreach by the federal government with a centralized currency. Look, I don't want the federal government knowing when my son went to the grocery store to go buy a bag of Doritos at 2:15 in the afternoon. So we need to have some protections in place. And I think where we make it a welcome and interesting expansion of dialogues in Florida, and maybe even a greater expansion. We have about $800 million in crypto-related investments in our state portfolio, but I would not be shocked to be able to see that growing under a Trump administration in the near future.
And you think that en masse in the country, that the U.S. Crypto is just going to become more important in terms of almost a sovereign fund, or in pension plans and retirement plans for government employees, Jimmy?
Look, as a fiduciary, I think it's very important. Look, I've got firefighters, I've got teachers, I've got state employees that we're trustees over their pension. I need to make sure that we're doing everything humanly possible to get them the best return on their investment. And if we're not being open-minded to what crypto can do to diversify that portfolio, shame on us. So again, it's a direction that we're going to start to push. We're going to be prepared to seize the opportunities presented by just as your show has been speaking to earlier, the change of what the administration can bring in the future financial outlook of our country, our world. And Florida's going to be prepared to do the most for our fiduciary responsibilities that we take so seriously.
You have zero state income. Is that still true? We had we had New Jersey governor. You know what the state income tax over $1 million is in New Jersey, Jimmy? 11.5%. It's 11.5%.
Oh my God!
How's that strike you?
So Joe,
nice.
I met three separate families. Yeah, I met three separate families.
Nobody's left
from Chicago, Chicago, Buffalo, New York, and New Jersey. All three families moved to Florida, and I want to know, why did you come?
Right.
I'm thinking
nobody's
kids,
left.
Snow.
Nobody's left.
Yeah. Well, you know what? They pay they want to keep their money.